Someone just insulted you, and you feel nothing but calm power. That quiet strength is not a fantasy. It is a skill you can master. This is the art of winning in silence. Most people believe victory requires loud arguments and visible dominance, but true power flows from an unshakable inner world. Stoicism is not about suppressing emotion. It is about mastering your perceptions and actions so thoroughly that chaos cannot touch you. By the end of this, you will have 25 practical, timeless tactics to transform how you handle conflict, stress, and every challenge life throws at you. We will explore how a Roman emperor could find peace in a war camp, and how a simple mental shift can turn an obstacle into your greatest advantage. What does a truly quiet victory feel like to you? The most powerful response you will ever make is the one nobody else hears. This silent space between an event and your reaction is the birthplace of all Stoic strength. It begins with the first tactic, the discipline of assent, which is simply the mastery of your first impressions. Right now, your mind is constantly receiving data from the world and instantly labeling it. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and the immediate impression is that person is a jerk. Your boss sends a terse email, and the impression is, I am in trouble. These are not facts, they are flashes of judgment delivered to your mind's doorstep for approval. The discipline of assent is the practice of not opening that door right away. You create a pause, a moment of silent interrogation. When criticism comes and the first wave of anger or defensiveness rises, you do not let it become your truth. Instead, you turn inward and ask the quiet questions. Is this impression entirely accurate? What part of this situation is actually within my control? You are not denying the feeling exists, you are simply refusing to let it drive the car. Imagine you are a bouncer at the exclusive club of your own mind. Every thought, every impression has to show its identification before it gets in. The loud, angry thought that shouts, "This is a disaster," gets stopped at the velvet rope. You look at it calmly and ask for its credentials. Is this truly a disaster, or is it merely an inconvenience? Is this person's insult a reflection of my character, or is it a reflection of their own turmoil? This internal audit takes seconds, but it changes everything. It means you are no longer a puppet to circumstance. The event happens, the impression arrives, but you have inserted a gap of freedom. In that gap, you choose your reality. You might find that the criticism contains a tiny seed of useful feedback buried in the harsh delivery. You might realize the insult says nothing about you and everything about the other person's bad day. By mastering this first silent impression, you disarm the external world of its power to upset you. You respond from reason, not from reflex, and that is how you win the first and most important battle, the one that happens in total silence behind your own eyes. Your silent pause has created a space of freedom, but what do you fill it with? You fill it with the second tactic, the view from above. This is not about positive thinking. It is a deliberate mental maneuver to shrink your problems down to their actual size. When you are locked in a heated argument or stewing over a perceived slight, your entire world contracts to that single point of friction. Everything feels urgent, massive, and personal. The view from above is your escape hatch. You do it in silence. First, close your eyes for just a moment if you can. In your mind, pull the camera back. See yourself in the room, in the building. Now pull higher, seeing your town or city as a map. Go higher until the continent is a shape against the blue marble of the earth. Keep going. See the planet itself, a silent, spinning sphere in the vast black. From here, your street is invisible. Your office building cannot be seen. The person who annoyed you and you yourself are less than specks. Now stretch time. This conflict you are having, how will it matter in 1 week, in 1 year? In 1 century, in the grand timeline of human history, this moment is a single, fleeting breath. This exercise takes 30 seconds, but its effect is profound. It recalibrates your sense of importance. That rude comment in a meeting becomes what it truly is, a minor sound wave that happened and is now gone. The project deadline feels pressing, but from this cosmic vantage point, you see it is one event in a long life of events. You are not belittling your own life. You are placing it within a true context. The ego wants to be the center of the universe. The view from above shows you that you are a beautiful, conscious part of something infinitely larger. When you mentally return to the situation, you bring that perspective with you. The urge to snap back, to prove a point, to win a petty battle, it just seems small. Why waste your precious, finite energy on something that the cosmos itself would not even notice? You regain your composure because you have literally seen the bigger picture. Your silent victory is realizing that most of what we fight about does not actually matter, and that clarity is the most powerful advantage you can hold in any room. But that cosmic perspective can feel distant when a real fear is breathing down your neck. There is a quieter, more intimate practice for that, the third tactic, premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. This is not pessimism, it is a form of silent, psychological inoculation. You are about to give a big presentation. The quiet, gnawing fear whispers, what if I fail? What if they laugh? What if I forget everything? Most people try to silence that voice with frantic positive thinking. The Stoic does the opposite. They invite the fear in for a cup of tea, and they have a long, detailed conversation with it. Here is how you do it in total silence. First, take the vague worry and give it a name. My presentation could go poorly. Now, close your eyes and walk through the worst case, not as a nightmare, but as a mental simulation. See yourself stepping up to the podium. Your mind goes blank, the slides are out of order. A few people in the audience exchange skeptical glances. You stumble over your words. You finish to a room of polite, tepid applause. Sit with that feeling of embarrassment, of letdown. Let it be uncomfortable. Now ask the crucial question. Having faced this, what is within my control? I cannot control their reactions. I can control my preparation. I can control having backup notes. I can control my breath. I can control choosing to see this not as a judgment of my worth, but as a single performance that did not land. You are not predicting the future. You are rehearsing your character. You are building a mental contingency plan. By the time you actually step into the meeting room, something profound has shifted. The fear has lost its fangs because you have already faced it in your mind. If a technical glitch happens, instead of panic, there is a quiet internal nod. I considered this possibility. Here are my notes. If a question stumps you, you feel not shame but calm. I prepared for this moment of not knowing. I can say, that is an excellent question. Let me get back to you. The victory is in the preparation. You have already lived through the disaster in your imagination and discovered you are still standing, your character intact. This silent rehearsal transforms anxiety into preparedness. It turns you from a reactive victim of circumstance into a composed architect of your own response. The storm may still come, but you have already built your shelter. Premeditating disaster builds an inner shelter, but what if you could learn to love the storm itself? This is the fourth tactic, Amor Fati, the love of fate. It is a silent vow to embrace everything that happens to you, especially the difficult parts. This is not about putting on a fake smile and pretending pain does not hurt. It is a radical, internal reframing where you stop asking, why is this happening to me, and start asking, what is this happening for me? The obstacle itself becomes the path. Think of a wrestler training for a championship. He does not hope for a weak, clumsy opponent. He seeks out the strongest, most skilled challenger he can find. In the silence of the gym, he is grateful for every punishing hold, every time he is thrown to the mat. Why? Because that fierce resistance is what forges his own strength. Without a worthy adversary, he would never reach his potential. Your life is that gym. The frustrating colleague, the failed project, the unexpected setback, these are your strongest opponents. Amor Fati is the moment you look at that challenge and in the quiet of your mind you say, "Thank you. You are here to make me better. This is the fuel for my growth." When you receive harsh criticism, the reflexive thought is one of defense or dejection. With Amor Fati, you take a silent breath and think, "This is uncomfortable, but it is showing me a blind spot I could not see." This person, however unskillfully, is my teacher today. When a plan falls apart instead of a spiral of frustration, you feel a curious shift. The universe has just handed me a new puzzle. What can I build from these broken pieces? This silent acceptance is active, not passive. You are not lying down and letting life run you over. You are standing up and using every single event, good or bad, as raw material for your own development. The complaint dies on your lips before it is ever spoken, replaced by a quiet determination. The victory is in the reframe. You stop fighting reality and start working with it. The world did not give you an obstacle, it gave you a training ground. And in that silent recognition, you disarm every hardship of its power to discourage you. You move through life not as a victim of circumstance, but as an alchemist, turning leaden moments into golden wisdom. Your mind can become a fortress no external storm can ever breach. This is the fifth tactic, building your inner citadel. Picture a castle on a hill with high stone walls and a deep, quiet courtyard at its heart. The Stoics believed your core self, your reason and your character should be just like that. The walls are your principles, your values, your practiced self-control. The daily chaos of life, the insults, the sudden losses, the fickle praise, these are like arrows shot at the walls. They clatter against the stone, they make a tremendous noise, but they cannot touch the serene, unshakable you standing safely within the courtyard. The victory is in the construction. You do not build this fortress in the middle of a siege. You build it brick by brick in silence every single day. How do you lay those bricks? It begins with daily reflection. Just 5 minutes at the end of your day in total quiet, asking yourself simple questions. Where did I let an external thing disturb my peace today? When did I act with integrity and when did I compromise? This is not self-criticism. It is a surveyor checking the walls for weak spots, then calmly planning the repairs for tomorrow. Another brick is the deliberate study of wisdom. Reading a page of philosophy, listening to an idea that challenges you, is like bringing stronger materials into your courtyard. It reinforces your understanding of what you truly control and what you must let clatter harmlessly against the walls. But the most powerful brick is voluntary discomfort. This is the silent, daily training of your garrison. It is choosing the harder chair when the soft one is available. It is taking a cold shower when a hot one is tempting. It is skipping a meal when you are merely bored, not hungry. Why would you do this? You are not punishing yourself. You are proving a profound truth to yourself in the most direct way possible. You are demonstrating that your peace and your happiness do not depend on perfect comfort, on constant praise, on everything going your way. Each small act of self-denial is a drill for your inner garrison. When a real hardship comes, a true arrow of misfortune, your walls are already seasoned. You feel the impact, you hear the noise, but you do not panic. You simply retreat to your quiet center and remember, this cannot touch what I have built here. An insult cannot diminish your worth if your worth is built on an internal standard of character. A financial loss cannot shatter your world if your happiness is not tied to luxury. This silent fortification creates a confidence that needs no announcement. You walk into any room, face any person, not with arrogance, but with the deep, quiet assurance of someone who is already home, safe within their own mind, no matter what chaos reigns outside. A fortress needs a gatekeeper, a simple rule to decide what enters and what stays outside. This is the sixth tactic, the dichotomy of control, your silent filter for everything. It is the single most practical tool for immediate peace. Every single thing you will ever encounter in your life falls into one of two buckets. The first bucket contains everything within your complete control. This is a very short list. It holds only your own opinions, your judgments, your desires, your aversions, and the actions you choose to take right now. That is it. The second bucket contains everything else. This is an enormous list. It holds the past, the future, other people's thoughts and actions, your reputation, the weather, traffic, the stock market, and whether someone likes you or not. The silent victory happens the moment you learn to sort every single event into its proper bucket, instantly and without debate. The alarm clock blares on a Monday morning. Your immediate thought might be, "I hate Mondays." That is a judgment you are placing on an external event, the day of the week. That judgment belongs in the second bucket. It is not within your control. But your action, the choice to get out of bed and start your day with purpose, that belongs firmly in the first bucket. You silently acknowledge the feeling, place it in the second bucket, and then pour all your energy into the action you control. You are stuck in a massive traffic jam, late for an important meeting. The frustration boils up. Here is the filter in action. Can you control the sea of brake lights? No, that goes in the second bucket. Can you control the fact you are late? Not anymore. That also goes in the second bucket. What is left in your first bucket? You can control your breathing. You can control calling ahead to let them know. You can control what you listen to, turning the delay into an opportunity for a podcast or quiet thought. You can control whether this event ruins the next 2 hours of your life. By silently applying this filter, you drain the situation of its panic. The energy you were wasting on screaming at the cars, on regretting your timing, on imagining disastrous outcomes, all that energy is now redirected. It fuels your calm, your next practical step. This is not passive acceptance, it is strategic energy management. When someone criticizes you, their words and their opinion fly straight into the second bucket. They own those, but your opinion of yourself, your decision to examine the feedback for truth, your choice to respond with grace or not to respond at all, that is all in your first bucket. You stop fighting to control the uncontrollable, which is a battle you can never win. Instead, you achieve total sovereignty over the one thing you truly command, your own inner world. This silent sorting becomes a reflex. It is the quiet click of a lock, securing your peace against the chaos of a world you were never meant to control in the first place. That inner citadel can make you feel separate, but Stoicism reveals a deeper truth: you are never truly alone. This brings us to the seventh tactic, sympatheia, the silent recognition of cosmic interconnectedness. Look at your hand. The calcium in your bones was forged in the heart of a dying star. The water in your cells has flowed in rivers and clouds for billions of years. The person who just cut you off in traffic, the colleague who took credit for your work, even the historical figure you admire, we are all made of the same ancient stardust, breathing the same air, bound by the same natural laws. This is not a poetic metaphor, it is a practical lens for dissolving anger. When someone acts in a way that frustrates you, your default reaction is to see them as an isolated antagonist, a rogue agent causing you deliberate harm. Sympatheia asks you to shift that view in silence. See them instead as a single thread in a vast, living tapestry. Their actions are not emerging from a vacuum. They are the product of their own unique history, their wounds, their ignorance, their flawed understanding of what is good. Just as a river flows downhill because it is its nature, a person acts according to the nature they believe is right. This does not mean you excuse cruelty or tolerate abuse. Understanding is not endorsement, it is strategic clarity. Silently, in that moment of friction, you remind yourself, this person is acting out of ignorance just as I sometimes do. They are confused about what truly brings happiness just as I have been confused. They are a fragment of the same universe I am a fragment of. This silent thought is a cooling bomb on the heat of your anger. The personal insult transforms. It is no longer a targeted missile, but a symptom of their own internal chaos. Your urge to retaliate, to win the argument, begins to feel strangely petty. Why would you scream at a thread in the tapestry for being a different color? Your energy is better spent on your own pattern. This allows for a response of detached wisdom. You are not cold or uncaring. Your compassion becomes wider, more resilient. You can set a firm boundary without hatred. You can correct a mistake without contempt. You see the human being behind the frustrating behavior, a being who, like you, is trying to navigate a complicated world with the flawed map they were given. Your silent victory is the realization that you are not in a battle against separate enemies, but are all participants in a shared, often messy, human story. This perspective grants you a profound patience, the kind that comes not from weakness, but from seeing the entire board. The recognition of our shared humanity grounds us, but there is a sharper, more personal truth that cuts through every distraction. Your time here is not infinite. The eighth tactic is Memento Mori, the remembrance of death. This is not a morbid obsession with an end, but a silent, daily practice of clarity. It is the ultimate filter for your attention. In the quiet of your own mind, you ask one simple, piercing question. In the face of my mortality, does this thing I am upset about truly matter? Watch what happens. You are in a long line at the grocery store, tapping your foot, growing irritated at the slow cashier. Silently, you invoke Memento Mori. If today were my last day, would this delay be worth a single moment of my frustration? The answer arrives with a quiet, almost humorous clarity. No. It would not. The frustration evaporates, replaced by a patient observation of the scene, or even a moment of gratitude that you are here to experience it at all. Now apply it to something heavier. You are locked in a bitter argument with a family member over a past grievance. The old wounds are open, the words are sharp. In a pause, you ask the silent question, if one of us were gone tomorrow, what would I regret about this exchange? Instantly, the need to be right, to win the historical debate, is exposed for what it is, a trivial ghost. What surfaces is the real substance, the love beneath the conflict, the desire for connection before it is too late. Memento Mori does not tell you to avoid all conflict. It forces you to distinguish between a conflict that serves a meaningful purpose and one that is merely ego warfare. It silences the petty worries by holding them up against the single, undeniable fact of your finite existence. What rushes in to fill that silent space is a profound sense of priority. You begin to see with startling clarity what actually holds lasting significance. The pursuit of virtue, acting with integrity not for applause but because it is right. The nurturing of real relationships, the time spent truly listening, the forgiveness offered freely. The full appreciation of the present moment, the taste of your coffee, the sound of a loved one's laugh, the feeling of the sun on your skin. These are the things that death cannot touch because they define the quality of the life you are living right now. Carrying this silent reminder with you is like carrying a compass. When you feel pulled into drama, into resentment, into anxiety over things you cannot control, you touch the compass. It reorients you instantly. It guides you to walk away from the meaningless argument, to hang up the phone on the toxic conversation, to close the browser tab on the trivial gossip. Your energy, your focus, your very life force becomes too precious to waste on what will not echo beyond the hour. The victory is in the reclamation. You stop letting the loud, urgent trivialities of the world steal the quiet, important moments of your one and only life. You live not with a fear of the end, but with a fierce, silent gratitude for the now and a determination to fill it with what truly counts. This silent acceptance of life's limits transforms how you approach your deepest ambitions. The ninth tactic is the reserve clause, a simple mental addition that changes everything about striving and success. You have a goal, a desire to achieve something important. You want that promotion, you are training for the marathon, you are pouring your heart into a creative project. The natural human instinct is to attach your entire sense of self-worth to the outcome. I must get this or I am a failure. The reserve clause is a quiet amendment you make to that demand, a whispered condition you add to every plan. It sounds like this: I will strive to achieve this, fate permitting, or I will give this my absolute best effort, provided nothing outside my control intervenes. You say it only to yourself in the privacy of your own mind, but its power is immense. It is the difference between tying a rope to a moving train and holding a bird gently in your hands. One will drag you along, potentially to destruction. The other allows for flight or for release without breaking your spirit. For example, you are preparing for a crucial job interview. Your inner monologue with the reserve clause is not weak or doubtful. It is clear and strong. I will research the company thoroughly. I will prepare my answers with care. I will present my skills with confidence, fate permitting. The fate permitting clause silently acknowledges the landscape of reality. It recognizes that the interviewer might have had a terrible morning. It admits that another candidate might have a personal connection you do not. It accepts that the company's budget could be cut at the last minute. These are not in your control. By adding this silent clause, you accomplish two profound things. First, you protect your effort from contamination by anxiety. Your focus narrows beautifully to the arena you actually command: your preparation, your mindset, your conduct. You are not wasting mental energy worrying about the uncontrollable variables, because you have already silently made peace with their existence. Second, and more importantly, you inoculate yourself against the poison of despair if the outcome is not what you hope. When you get the call saying they went with another candidate, the blow lands differently. It is disappointing, yes, but it does not shatter you. Your inner voice, practiced in this clause, responds not with "I am worthless," but with "I did my part with excellence." Fate, in this instance, did not permit it. My peace was never hostage to their decision. My worth was secured by my virtuous effort. The victory is in the detachment from the result, not from the effort. You strive with all your might, but you hold the outcome loosely. This is how an athlete can run their personal best race and still come in fourth and walk off the track with their head held high. They controlled their training, their diet, their mental focus. They did not control the genetic gifts or the day's performance of the three people ahead of them. Their silent reserve clause allowed them to find triumph in the excellence of their run, not just in the medal. This practice turns you from a gambler, betting your happiness on a single roll of dice, into an artisan. Your satisfaction comes from the quality of your workmanship, from the integrity of your effort. The final product, while desired, is a gift the world may or may not choose to accept. And either way, you remain whole, undisturbed, and ready for the next worthy endeavor. That quiet detachment from outcomes requires a foundation of proven resilience, a confidence built not in theory but in the silent laboratory of your own experience. This is the 10th tactic, the practice of voluntary discomfort. It is a direct physical dialogue with your own limits. You are not waiting for life to test you. You are choosing your own tests on your own terms, in silence. The goal is not self-punishment. It is a simple, profound demonstration. You are proving to your deepest self that your peace and your strength do not depend on perfect conditions. Start with something small, almost trivial. Choose the stairs over the elevator. Drink a glass of water when you crave a sugary soda. Sit on the floor instead of the couch for 10 minutes. In each of these tiny, silent choices, you are conducting an experiment. You are observing the initial urge for comfort, the whisper of resistance, and then you are watching yourself choose the harder path anyway. The victory is not in the action itself, but in the silent observation that follows. You feel the mild strain in your legs on the stairs, and you think, "I am fine. I am moving." You feel the craving for the soda, and after the water, you realize the craving passed and you are still you. These are small proofs, but they accumulate into an unshakable truth. Now take it a step further. Stand under a cold shower for the final 30 seconds of your morning routine. Do not scream or grit your teeth. Just stand there, breathe steadily, and observe the sensation. Your entire body will signal alarm. This is uncomfortable. This is wrong. Get out. And in that moment, you have a silent conversation. You acknowledge the signal and then you choose to stay. For 30 seconds, you are in command. When you step out, you are not just dry. You are different. You have just received direct physical evidence that you can handle a shock, a hardship, an unpleasant sensation without falling apart. You have told your nervous system in a language it cannot misunderstand that discomfort is not an emergency. This practice extends to hunger. Skip a single meal, not for dieting but for training. When the usual lunchtime hunger pangs arrive, do not rush to silence them. Sit with them, breathe, observe them as mere sensations like clouds passing through the sky of your body. You'll discover a profound secret that hunger is a wave that crests and then subsides. You are not starving. You are practicing sovereignty over your own impulses. Why does this matter for winning in silence? Because when a real hardship arrives, an unexpected financial blow, a painful rejection, a period of grief, you are not starting from zero. You have a reservoir of silent evidence to draw from. Your mind will not panic with the same intensity because it has a reference point. It can recall in a flash of memory the cold water, the missed meal, the difficult run. It remembers the feeling of endurance and, more importantly, it remembers the calm that followed. The new crisis is larger, but the pattern is familiar. You have already, in 100 small ways, rehearsed the first act of resilience, which is to not complain, to not catastrophize, but to simply meet the sensation and breathe through it. You greet the major hardship not with the shock of a civilian, but with the quiet recognition of a seasoned explorer. You think, this is a deeper cold, a sharper hunger. I have trained for this. I know I can endure. This silent, accumulated confidence changes your posture in the world. You stop fearing inconvenience. You stop arranging your entire life to avoid minor aches. You walk with the unspoken assurance of someone who knows, truly knows, that their well-being is not held hostage by the thermostat, by the menu, by the easy path. You have made friends with a little difficulty, and in doing so, you have disarmed all of life's unexpected hardships before they even arrive. They find you not brittle and fearful, but resilient and ready, already standing in the quiet strength you built for yourself, one small, voluntary discomfort at a time. True power often looks like stillness, not speech. This brings us to the 11th tactic, the art of listening, your silent superpower. In a world that rewards the loudest voice, choosing to listen deeply is a revolutionary act of strength. This is not passive hearing or the polite silence of someone simply waiting for their turn to talk. This is active, focused, and strategic silence. It is the discipline of fully receiving another person's words, their tone, and the meaning beneath them, while consciously quieting the internal noise of your own judgment and rebuttal. When you are in a tense conversation, your mind is usually a storm of preparation. You are crafting your counterpoint, defending your position, scoring imaginary points. The Stoic art of listening asks you to let that storm subside. You purposefully lower your own mental drawbridge and allow the other person's perspective to enter unopposed. Your only job in that moment is to understand. What is this person actually saying? What emotion is driving these words? What need or fear is lying underneath this argument? By doing this, you accomplish something extraordinary. You de-escalate the conflict without uttering a single word of your own. The human psyche has a deep need to be heard. When someone feels truly listened to, their defensive walls often begin to lower on their own. The heat of their anger starts to dissipate because it is no longer being met with equal heat, but with the cool, absorbing space of your attention. You are not agreeing with them, you are understanding them, and in that understanding you gain immense strategic intelligence. You learn their true motivations, their weaknesses in logic, the core of their concern. All of this is data you could never gather while your own mind was shouting over them. This silent gathering of information allows you to choose your eventual response, if one is even needed, with surgical precision. Instead of firing a scattered volley of reactive emotions, you can now offer a single, well-aimed point that addresses the heart of the matter. Or you may realize that no response is the most powerful response of all. Your silence, having been filled with genuine listening, is now perceived not as weakness but as formidable composure. You earn a respect that arguments can never secure. People leave the interaction feeling disarmed, perhaps even disoriented, because you did not fight on the battlefield they prepared. You change the terrain entirely, from a war of words to a field of understanding. The victory is twofold. Externally, you often resolve the conflict more effectively by uncovering its root. Internally, you remain perfectly calm, anchored in your purpose, unshaken by another's emotional storm. You win by learning, by connecting, and by conserving your energy for what truly matters, all from the profound power of saying nothing at all. Your deep listening has revealed a world of unseen motives, and that leads to a sanctuary of profound peace. Tactic 12 is to withhold judgment on others. This is not about being naive or excusing bad behavior. It is about building a silent, internal sanctuary where your peace cannot be invaded by someone else's actions. Right now, your mind is a courtroom. Someone cuts you off, and instantly the gavel bangs. Guilty, rude and inconsiderate. A coworker makes a snide remark and the verdict is swift. Guilty, jealous and petty. These silent trials happen dozens of times a day, and each one costs you. It drains your mental energy, stirs up resentment, and ties your emotional state to the behavior of people you cannot control. The Stoic asks a simple, revolutionary question. What if I do not have all the evidence? You are witnessing a single frame of a movie that has been playing for decades. You see the action, but you have no idea about the script, the backstory, the wounds, or the fears that led to this moment. The person who snapped at you might have just received a devastating phone call. The driver who swerved might be rushing a loved one to the hospital. The colleague who took credit might be operating from a deep, unspoken fear of being invisible. You do not know, and because you cannot know, passing a final judgment is not wisdom. It is an act of arrogance. It assumes your limited perspective is the whole truth. The tactic is to consciously suspend that internal verdict. When the urge to label someone arises, you replace the sentence with a question. Instead of, "What a jerk," you think, "I wonder what pain or ignorance led them to this." That shift from condemnation to curiosity changes everything. It is the difference between building a wall and opening a window. The wall of judgment locks you in with your own anger. The window of curiosity lets in a cooling breeze of understanding, even if you never learn the actual reason. This practice creates a silent sanctuary within you. Inside those walls, you are safe. The chaos of other people's bad days, their rude comments, their unfair actions, cannot disturb your core peace because you are not engaging in the mental warfare of judging them. You are observing behavior from a place of detached curiosity. This does not mean you become a doormat. You can still set boundaries. You can still address harmful actions. But you do so from a place of calm clarity, not from the heat of personal offense. You are responding to the action itself, not to the story you have attached to the person's character. The energy you once poured into silent resentment and internal gossip is now reclaimed. It is fuel for your own projects, your own growth, your own tranquility. You stop collecting enemies in your mind. You stop carrying the invisible weight of other people's flaws. The victory is in the spaciousness you create. Your mind is no longer a crowded courtroom, but a quiet garden. People may throw their trash over the fence, but you are under no obligation to sort through it, label it, or let it spoil the flowers you are tending inside. You simply note it and return to your cultivation. In that sanctuary of withheld judgment, you find a freedom that no external opinion can ever grant or take away. That sanctuary of withheld judgment gives you space, but a true test of strength is how you act in the moment of provocation. The 13th tactic is the pause before reacting. This is not a metaphor, it is a physical, tactical maneuver you perform in real time. Someone says something designed to trigger you, an email arrives with a tone of accusation. In that exact second, your entire nervous system will scream for a reaction. Your face will flush, your heart will pound, your mind will scramble for a cutting retort. The victory is won or lost in the next 3 seconds. Your job is to insert a wedge of deliberate silence between the trigger and your response. You do this by taking one slow, deep breath. In through your nose, out through your mouth. That breath is your declaration of independence. For the duration of that breath, you say nothing. You do not nod, you do not frown, you do not type a single word. You are a mountain, and the triggering event is just weather passing by. In that silent space, something magical happens. The surge of raw emotion, which felt like an unstoppable tsunami, hits the wall of your pause and begins to recede. It does not disappear, but it loses its commanding force. Now, in the quiet that follows the breath, your Stoic training has room to activate. You can apply the discipline of assent. Is my initial impression of this as a catastrophic insult actually true? You can apply the dichotomy of control. Their words are in their bucket. My composed response is in mine. You might even apply the view from above. How will this feel in 1 hour? This pause can be 3 seconds in a conversation or 30 minutes before replying to an email. The length is less important than the simple fact that you created it. You broke the chain of stimulus and immediate, thoughtless reaction. Think of a master swordsman in a duel. The novice flails at every movement, exhausting himself. The master stands perfectly still, conserving all his energy, watching for the true opening. Your pause is that stillness. It allows you to see the opening, not for attack, but for a wise response. Maybe the opening is to ask a clarifying question. Maybe it is to simply say, I need a moment to think about that. Maybe it is to realize that no response at all is the most powerful move. This tactical silence prevents the regret that echoes long after the heat of the moment. It stops you from sending the email you cannot unsend, from saying the words you cannot unsay. Each time you successfully pause, you are not just winning that particular interaction. You are strengthening a neural pathway. You are proving to yourself in the most direct way possible that you are not a puppet. Your strings are not pulled by other people's behavior. You hold the controls and you choose when or if to engage. The quiet victory is not in the brilliant comeback you eventually deliver. It is in the serene, unshakable knowledge that you, and you alone, decide what deserves a piece of your peace. Your tactical pause has reclaimed your inner command, but what do you do with that command once you have it? You point it toward the one thing that is always yours to shape the process itself. Tactic 14 is to focus on process, not outcomes, and find a silent satisfaction that nothing in the external world can ever touch. For most of your life, you have been handed a scorecard by the world. It has clear, loud metrics. Did you get the promotion? Did you win the game? Did you close the deal? Did they like you? This external scorecard makes you a gambler, betting your self-worth and your daily peace on a result you can never fully control. The silent victory is to tear up that borrowed scorecard and write your own in quiet ink, visible only to you. Your new internal scorecard asks entirely different questions. Did I act with integrity today, even when no one was watching? Did I approach my work with full focus and care? Did I face that difficult conversation with courage and kindness? Did I choose wisdom over impulse? This is a radical shift. You are no longer judging your day by what the world gave you in return. You are judging it by what you gave to the world and, more importantly, to your own character. Take an athlete not on game day but on a cold, dark Tuesday morning. The trophy is a distant dream. The stands are empty. Her body is tired. The external scorecard is blank, offering no points for simply showing up. But her internal scorecard is active. Today, did I push through the mental resistance? Did I maintain perfect form on that last set? Did I honor my body with proper rest and nutrition? Her satisfaction is not deferred until some future podium. It is earned in full in the silence of the gym, with every rep performed with excellence. She is building something the trophy can only symbolize: an unbreakable discipline. Now bring this into your own life. You are working on a project that might not succeed. The old scorecard screams, "This is a waste of time if it fails." The new scorecard asks, "Am I learning? Am I solving problems creatively? Am I collaborating with integrity?" The quality of your attention becomes the reward. You are a professional preparing a presentation. The external hope is for applause and approval. The internal focus is on the process. Is my research thorough? Is my message clear and honest? Have I practiced until the delivery feels authentic? When you walk into that room, you carry a quiet confidence that has nothing to do with the audience's reaction. You have already won because you know you did the work with virtue. This silent refrain makes you immune to the fickle opinions of others and the volatility of luck. If the project fails despite your excellent work, you feel disappointment but not devastation. Your core satisfaction remains intact because it was never stored in the outcome. It was stored in the pride of a process well executed. Conversely, if you achieve a great result through shortcut or luck, it rings hollow. You know in that private silence that you did not earn it on your own terms. The deep, quiet satisfaction of a good process is a renewable energy source. It is available to you every single day, in every single task, no matter how small. Washing the dishes can be done with mindfulness and care, and that act itself becomes a small victory. Answering an email can be done with clarity and respect, and that becomes a point on your true scorecard. You stop living in the anxious future, begging for a specific result, and start living fully in the present, where your power actually resides. Your life becomes a series of dignified actions, a masterpiece you paint one deliberate, silent stroke at a time. A masterpiece painted in deliberate strokes requires a canvas, and often that canvas is cracked and uneven. The 15th tactic is the silent alchemy of using obstacles as fuel. This moves beyond simple acceptance into active, creative transformation. It is the internal, silent declaration that changes everything. This is not a block to my path, it is the path. The barrier itself becomes the raw material for your progress. History offers a profound example in Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome. He did not write his timeless work, Meditations, in a quiet palace library. He penned those words in the flickering torchlight of military camps, surrounded by the groans of the wounded, the stench of the field, and the immense pressure of leading an empire at war. The chaos was not an interruption to his philosophy, it was the forge for it. Every frustration, every betrayal, every moment of exhaustion became a prompt for the very reflections that guide us today. His obstacle was his inspiration. You perform this same alchemy in silence in your own life. When you hit a wall, the natural reaction is to push against it, to complain about its existence, to dream of a world where it was not there. The alchemist does something different. They step back, and in the quiet of their mind, they ask a single question: how can this specific difficulty make me stronger, wiser, or more creative right now? Your project funding gets cut. The immediate frame is one of loss and setback. The alchemical frame asks, this forces me to be more resourceful. What ingenious, lean solution can I now discover that I would have never seen with a large budget? A key team member quits unexpectedly. The first impression is chaos and delay. The silent refrain asks, this is an opportunity to develop leadership in others, or to streamline a process that was overly dependent on one person. The obstacle presents a question, and your focused energy becomes the answer. This is not naive optimism. It is strategic repurposing. Frustration is a form of energy, a hot, scattered force that burns you out. Alchemy takes that same heat and channels it through a narrow lens of a single question, directing it into the productive fire of a solution. You stop fighting the rock in your way and start looking for the lever it can provide. The victory is in the shift of perception. You are no longer advancing in spite of the obstacle, you are advancing because of it. The resistance becomes your resistance training. The delay becomes your incubation period. The criticism becomes your refining fire. Each challenge met with this silent question leaves you not diminished but upgraded with a new skill, a deeper insight, or a more resilient character that you would have lacked on an easy road. The path was never meant to be clear, it was meant to be walked, and every stone that twists your ankle also teaches you balance. Alchemy transforms the obstacle, but gratitude claims it as a gift. The 16th tactic is to practice gratitude in adversity, a silent refrain that disarms despair before it can take root. This is not about plastering a fake smile over pain or reciting hollow platitudes. It is a disciplined, internal search for the sliver of light in any darkened room. It is the conscious decision to feed your mind with what remains good, rather than letting it gorge on what has gone wrong. The mechanism is simple, but its effect is revolutionary. When adversity strikes, you insert a silent question into the space between the event and your reaction. In this situation, what can I genuinely be grateful for right now? The answer must be specific and true. You are stuck in a massive traffic jam, late and frustrated. The easy narrative is one of victimhood. This always happens to me. My day is ruined. The silent practice of gratitude interrupts that story. You look at the situation with new eyes. I am grateful for this unexpected time alone. I can listen to that audiobook I never have time for. I am grateful for a working car, for the podcast that makes me laugh, for this moment of pause before a hectic evening. The facts have not changed. You are still in traffic, but your internal world has shifted from one of lack to one of presence. Now apply it to something sharper. You receive harsh, perhaps unfair, criticism at work. The first wave is defensiveness and hurt. In the silence of your next breath, you pose the question. For what can I be grateful here? The answers might be, I am grateful this has shown me a blind spot I need to work on. I am grateful for the reminder that my worth is not determined by one person's opinion. I am even grateful for the chance to practice responding with grace under pressure. This is not agreeing with the critic, it is extracting the nutrient from the bitter root. You are training your attention, the most powerful force you possess, to seek out agency and goodness. By doing so, you starve the twin wolves of self-pity and resentment. They cannot thrive in a mind that is actively cataloging its remaining assets. This practice builds a bedrock of contentment that external circumstances cannot erode because its source is internal and renewable. Your happiness is no longer a hostage to perfect conditions. It becomes a choice you make in silence by noticing the audiobook in the traffic jam, the lesson in the criticism, the strength being forged in the difficulty. You stop seeing the world as something that owes you smooth passage and start seeing it as a generous teacher, offering lessons in even its most challenging disguises. The quiet victory is a heart that learns to find the gift in the grit and in doing so becomes unbreakable. Gratitude in adversity protects your heart, but what protects your very sense of self? The world is a loud marketplace of labels, constantly trying to tell you who you are. You are your job title, you are your bank balance, you are your wins, your followers, your possessions. Tactic 17 is the silent act of rebellion against that noise. It is to define yourself by your virtues, not your victories. This is your internal anchor, forged in quiet and known only to you. You consciously choose the words that describe your core identity, and they have nothing to do with external achievements. In the stillness of your own mind, you repeat the true definition. I am a person who acts with justice. I am a person who practices courage. I am a person who exercises temperance. I am a person who seeks wisdom. These are not aspirations for the future. They are present tense statements of character, your operating system. When you walk into a room, you are not a sales director or an entrepreneur. You are a person who seeks wisdom and acts with justice. This silent anchor changes everything about how you experience success and failure. Imagine you give a presentation that falls completely flat. The old external identity screams, "I am a failure. My ideas are worthless." The shame is visceral and crushing. But if your silent anchor is in place, a different conversation happens. The event is the same. The presentation did not land, but your internal voice, anchored in virtue, responds differently. "I am a person who acts with courage. I had the courage to stand up and share my work. I am a person who seeks wisdom. What can I learn from this feedback to improve?" Your sense of worth remains intact because it was never stored in the applause. It was stored in the courage it took to step onto the stage. Now consider an insult. Someone tries to belittle you, to label you as incompetent or unimportant. If your identity is tied to your reputation, their words are a direct attack. You must defend, counterattack, or crumble. But if your identity is anchored in your virtues, their words pass through you like wind through a screen. They are commenting on a phantom, the external persona, not touching the core reality. You can think silently, "I am a person who acts with justice." This person is speaking from pain or ignorance. I choose not to return injustice with more injustice. Your composure in that moment is not an act. It is the natural result of being anchored to something no insult can reach. This practice builds an unshakable, quiet confidence that others can sense but cannot undermine. They might try to provoke you, but they find no hook to grab. They might try to flatter you, but the praise does not inflate you because your self-esteem is not for sale. You are neither diminished by their disdain nor enlarged by their approval. You are simply, solidly yourself. You move through the world with the calm assurance of a mountain. Storms of opinion may rage around you, but at your center, there is only the silent, immovable rock of your own defined character. The ultimate victory is to know with absolute certainty who you are when everything else is stripped away. A defined character knows its own limits and protects them with a single, quiet word. Tactic 18 is the power of a simple no. This is not rudeness or stubbornness. It is a profound act of stoic clarity, a silent boundary drawn around the precious resources you alone control: your time, your focus, and your energy. Every request, every invitation, every demand on your attention is a potential trade. You are being asked to exchange a piece of your finite life for something else. The ability to say a calm, firm no is your sovereign right to decline that trade. The true power, however, often lies in what you do not say next. You do not offer a long, rambling excuse. You do not fabricate a competing obligation to make your refusal more palatable. You do not people-please your way into a justification that invites negotiation. A simple, polite no thank you followed by respectful silence is a complete sentence. That silence which follows is where the boundary is actually built. It is a quiet space that communicates self-respect more clearly than any argument could. Imagine a colleague asks you to take on a last-minute task that falls outside your responsibilities and would derail your own crucial work. The automatic people-pleasing script might be, "Oh, well, I am really busy, but I guess I could try to squeeze it in, maybe if I stay late." You have just traded your evening, your peace, and the integrity of your own priorities for the temporary relief of avoiding an awkward moment. The Stoic response is different. You consider the request against your internal virtues. Does this align with my purpose? Does it serve justice to my existing commitments? If the answer is no, you respond with gentle firmness. "I cannot take that on right now, as I need to honor my current deadlines." Then you stop talking. You do not fill the quiet with apologies or loopholes. That silence is your boundary standing guard. The other person may be surprised. They may even push back. But your quiet composure, your lack of frantic justification, signals that this is not a debate. It is a statement of fact about your own priorities. This silent victory preserves your most valuable asset, your focused attention, for the work that truly matters. It wins by preventing the slow drain of resentment that comes from constant overcommitment. You are not saying no to the person. You are saying yes in a much louder, silent way to your own purpose, to your peace, and to the quality of the work you have already chosen. Each calm refusal is a brick in the wall of your inner citadel, a declaration that your worth is not measured by your availability, but by the integrity of your chosen commitments. A fortress built on virtue and guarded by a firm no needs one final, subtle defense. Tactic 19 is to observe without absorbing, the silent shield that lets drama flow past you without leaving a stain. This is the skill of becoming a detached witness, both to the theatrics of the world and to the weather inside your own mind. You learn to watch your thoughts and emotions as if they were clouds drifting across a vast, clear sky. You see a dark cloud of frustration form. Instead of shouting, "I am furious," you note with quiet curiosity, there is frustration arising. You see a bright cloud of excitement. Instead of being swept away by it, you observe there is excitement present. This tiny shift in language creates an immense psychological space between you and the feeling. You are the sky, unchanging and spacious, not the temporary cloud passing through. Now turn this lens outward. Someone is directing their anger at you, their voice sharp, their words pointed. The untrained instinct is to absorb that energy, to let it become your own. Your heart races, your face flushes, you feel attacked. The silent shield activates. You watch their performance as if from the balcony of a theater. You note silently there is anger occurring in that person. There is a story they are telling themselves that is causing this reaction. You do not deny what is happening. You simply refuse to let it define your internal state. It is the difference between standing in a thunderstorm and getting drenched versus watching that same storm from the safe, dry comfort of your window. You see the lightning, you hear the thunder, but you are not cold, you are not wet, you are not afraid. You are a compassionate but detached observer of the atmospheric disturbance. This does not make you cold or uncaring. In fact, it allows for a purer form of compassion. Because you are not being emotionally hijacked, you can see the person's pain more clearly. You can respond, if you choose to, from a place of calm clarity rather than reactive defense. You might offer a simple, grounding statement, or you might realize that silence is the only appropriate response to a storm that just needs to blow itself out. The victory is in the preservation of your inner weather. Their chaos does not have to become your climate. Your peace remains your own, a silent, shielded sanctuary where you can watch the clouds of conflict pass by, knowing with absolute certainty that they too will change and disperse, leaving your clear sky untouched. That silent shield of observation gives you a stage, a private one where the most important performance of your life unfolds. Tactic 20 is to act as if, a silent performance you direct solely for yourself. This is the practical engine of prosoch, the Stoic art of continuous attention. You are not waiting to feel courageous before you act. You are not hoping discipline will magically arrive one day. You begin by asking a single, silent question in the moment of challenge. How would a wise and courageous person act right now? Then you perform that answer as if you already are that person. The feelings will follow the action, not the other way around. You are afraid to speak up in a meeting, your heart is pounding. The feeling screams, stay quiet, avoid the risk. But you have a script written by your own highest ideals. You ask silently, what would a courageous person do? The answer is clear, they would share their perspective respectfully. So you take a breath and you speak. You do not feel courageous, you are performing courage. You feel the fear, but you move your mouth and form the words anyway. Afterward, something shifts. The fear does not vanish, but it is joined by a new, quiet sensation, the satisfaction of having acted according to your values. That satisfaction is the first brick of genuine courage being laid. The same process works for discipline. It is early and you do not feel like going for that run. The bed is warm, the feeling of laziness is persuasive. The silent question cuts through it. How would a disciplined person act? The answer is they would get up and run. So you act as if. You put on your shoes, you step outside, you start moving. You are not feeling disciplined. You are performing the actions of discipline until the feeling catches up. Over time, these repeated performances reshape your identity. You are not pretending to be someone else. You are rehearsing the person you have chosen to become until the rehearsal becomes the real show. The victory is entirely internal and silent. You bypass the endless debate with your own fluctuating emotions. You stop asking, "Do I feel like it?" You start asking, "What would my best self do?" And then you do it. This is how character is forged, not in grand declarations, but in 1,000 tiny, silent acts of as if. You become brave by acting bravely. You become disciplined by acting with discipline. You become just by acting justly, especially when it is difficult. The performance done in the quiet theater of your own life, with no audience but your own conscience, is what writes the truth of who you are onto your very soul. That silent performance forges a character who is no longer a puppet to every passing want. Tactic 21 is to limit your desires, the quiet cultivation of freedom through contentment. This is not about living in poverty or denying yourself joy. It is a strategic, silent audit of your own wants, a deliberate pruning of the endless list of things you believe you need to be happy. Right now, your mind is a marketplace and society is a constant, loud salesman. It whispers that you need a newer car to feel successful, a larger house to feel secure, more likes to feel validated, a more exciting vacation to feel alive. Each of these implanted desires is a tiny thread, tying your inner peace to an external object or outcome. The Stoic tactic is to sit in silence and interrogate each thread. When a desire arises, you do not chase it immediately. You hold it in the quiet light of your attention and ask two simple questions. Do I truly need this for my survival or my virtue? Or is this a societal implant, a want masquerading as a need? The goal is not to answer with a rigid no every time. It is to reclaim your sovereignty over the wanting itself. You might still choose the newer car, but you choose it from a place of practical consideration, not from a frantic need to signal your status. You might still enjoy a luxurious meal, but you enjoy it as a pleasant experience, not as a source of your fundamental happiness. By consciously wanting less, you accomplish something profound. You make yourself less vulnerable to the whims of fortune. If your peace depends on constant luxury, you will be shattered the moment finances tighten. If your worth depends on constant approval, you will be crushed by a single criticism. But if your contentment is built on the silent pillars of your character, your health, and your basic needs, you become unshakable. You cannot be manipulated by advertisers who prey on your insecurity. You cannot be distressed by the loss of things you never overly desired. This is the freedom of the person who can walk through a glittering mall and feel nothing but calm observation. They see the products, but they are not called by them. Their happiness is already present, a quiet hum inside them, not a distant prize on a shelf. This silent cultivation of contentment is your ultimate fortress. The world's noise, its demands, its frantic chase for more, becomes like rain against a well-sealed window. You hear it, but you are dry inside, warm in the simple, profound satisfaction of having enough, of being enough, right here and now. Your words are a finite currency, and every sentence you speak is a transaction. Tactic 22 is to spend that currency with the utmost care, speaking only what is necessary and true. This is the economy of words, a silent filter you place between a thought and its expression. Before any sentence leaves your lips, you pause just for a heartbeat and run it through a simple 3-question audit. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? This is not about censorship or dishonesty. It is about precision and power. The first filter, is it true, eliminates exaggeration, gossip, and the stories you tell yourself about others. It demands you verify facts before sharing them, and it requires you to be honest about your own motivations. Are you speaking to inform or to impress? The second filter, is it necessary, is the great eliminator of clutter. It cuts through the compulsive need to fill silence, to offer unsolicited opinions, to complain about the weather for the third time today, to engage in the petty debates that drain energy and resolve nothing. If the information is not useful, if the comment does not move a situation forward, if the story does not build connection or understanding, you hold it in the vault of silence. The third filter, is it kind, is not about avoiding hard truths. It is about delivery and intent. You can deliver a difficult truth with kindness, or you can deliver a trivial observation with cruelty. This filter asks, am I speaking to help or to hurt? Am I building a bridge or scoring a point? When you apply this three-part filter rigorously, your verbal output shrinks dramatically. You stop participating in gossip at the water cooler, not out of superiority, but because the words fail the test. They are often not entirely true, rarely necessary, and almost never kind. You stop voicing every minor complaint because you recognize it as a wasteful expenditure of your inner peace. In a heated moment, when a sharp retort leaps to your tongue, the filter activates. Is it true, perhaps? Is it necessary? Will this actually resolve the conflict or just escalate it? Is it kind? Almost certainly not. And so you choose the more powerful response, silence. This disciplined economy transforms how others perceive you. Your words become rare, and therefore each one carries more weight. When you do speak, people lean in. They listen because they have learned that you do not waste their time or your own with noise. Your speech commands respect because it is clearly intentional, a deliberate tool rather than a reflexive noise. More importantly, it transforms your inner world. You are no longer churning with the mental energy required to manufacture, polish, and deliver a constant stream of commentary. That reclaimed energy fuels your observation, your listening, and your calm. The silent victory is the profound peace of having nothing to take back, no regret over words spoken in haste, and the quiet confidence of knowing that your voice, when you choose to use it, is an instrument of clarity, not chaos. Your silent economy of words leaves space for the most important conversation you will ever have, the one with yourself. Tactic 23 is the evening review, a silent audit of the day that sharpens your character like a whetstone on a blade. As the day winds down and the external noise fades, you grant yourself just 5 minutes of total quiet. This is not a time for reliving drama or nursing grievances. It is a structured, gentle interrogation of your own actions, conducted with the calm detachment of a scientist reviewing data. You ask yourself 3 simple questions in the stillness. What did I do well today? Where did I act against my principles? What could I do better tomorrow? Start with the first question and be specific. It is not enough to think I was a good person. You must name the moment. I showed patience when my child was having a meltdown. I chose to walk away from a gossipy conversation. I completed a difficult task with focus, even though I wanted to procrastinate. This is not self-congratulation. It is the vital act of recognizing and reinforcing the behaviors you wish to cultivate. You are telling your nervous system, this is the path, walk here again. Then move to the second question with the same objective calm. Where did I fall short? Perhaps you snapped at a coworker over a minor mistake. Maybe you wasted an hour scrolling mindlessly when you promised yourself you would read. The key is to observe the misstep without spiraling into shame. Shame says, I am a failure. The evening review says that action was a failure of my principle of patience. See the profound difference. You are not condemning your soul. You are evaluating a single, discrete event. This creates a space for correction, not collapse. Finally, you ask, what could I do better tomorrow? This turns reflection into a plan. If you snap today, your plan might be, tomorrow, I will take 3 deep breaths before responding to any frustration. If you wasted time, your plan might be, I will leave my phone in another room for the first hour of the evening. This ritual is the daily maintenance of your inner citadel. You are walking the walls by night, checking for cracks, noting where the defenses held strong, and calmly planning the repairs for dawn. Without this silent audit, the lessons of the day are lost in the blur of busyness. You repeat mistakes without learning from them, and you overlook your own growth, making it feel accidental. With the review, you become the architect of your own progress. Each evening, you close the book on today's chapter, not with regret or pride, but with clarity. You lay your head down knowing exactly who you were today and with a quiet intention for who you will choose to be tomorrow. This is how wisdom is accumulated, not in sudden epiphanies, but in the steady, silent rhythm of nightly course corrections, ensuring you sail ever closer to your true north. The nightly review sharpens your focus, but wisdom also waits in the most unlikely classrooms. Every single person you meet holds a lesson if you have the silent humility to enroll. This is the 24th tactic to see the teacher in everyone. It is a deliberate, internal reframing that turns your entire social world into a training ground for virtue. The difficult person is not an obstacle to your peace. They are the guest lecturer for your patience seminar. The encounter begins not with a label, but with a silent question. What is this person here to teach me? A rude customer service agent snapping over the phone is not a random annoyance. They are a master instructor in the art of maintaining your composure under fire. Their harsh tone is the exam. Your calm, polite response is your answer. In that silent moment, you are not a victim of their bad day. You are a student practicing grace. The lesson is not about them. It is about the unshakable character you are building within yourself. A wildly successful colleague, someone whose achievements could easily spark envy, becomes a different kind of teacher. The silent lesson is admiration without comparison. You learn to appreciate excellence for its own sake, to feel genuine inspiration rather than corrosive jealousy. Your internal monologue shifts from "why not me" to "look at what is possible through dedication." This person teaches you to celebrate human achievement without making it a measure of your own worth. Even a personal failure, your own stumble, holds a professor. It is the stern but honest teacher of humility. It reminds you in the most direct way that you are a work in progress, capable of error and always learning. This silent acceptance of the lesson prevents the spiral of shame and opens the door to genuine growth. By adopting this mindset, you perform a quiet alchemy on your environment. The boring party becomes a lesson in observation and listening. The frustrating team meeting becomes a lab for practicing clear communication under pressure. The long line at the bank becomes a meditation on patience. No interaction is wasted or purely negative. Each person, through their actions, their words, or their very presence, offers you raw material. Your job is to be the silent artisan, taking that material and using it to practice your craft. Your craft is virtue, patience, courage, justice, wisdom. The rude person gives you material to practice patience. The fearful person gives you material to practice courage. The unjust situation gives you material to practice justice. The confusing problem gives you material to practice wisdom. Life is no longer a series of random events to be endured or enjoyed. It is a continuous, silent curriculum designed perfectly for your development. The victory is in the shift of agency. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What can I learn from this?" You reclaim your power from the circumstance and place it firmly in your own ability to extract value. You walk through the world with a quiet, grateful humility because you realize you are surrounded by teachers in every form, each one offering you the exact lesson you need to become who you are meant to be. Every teacher you encounter is sculpting the final, enduring work of art, your character. This brings us to the 25th and final tactic, to understand that your character is your legacy, the silent monument you leave behind long after your words have faded. This is the ultimate culmination of every silent practice, the North Star that guides them all. The tactic is to prioritize your integrity in the quiet of every choice above every other prize the world offers. Above being liked, above a short-term gain, above the sweet, fleeting taste of revenge, you are not building a resume to be reviewed, you are carving a reputation in stone, one virtuous action at a time. Achievements can be surpassed, fortunes can be lost, and arguments are forgotten, but the impact of a single person of unwavering character that echoes. It ripples through time in ways you may never see. Think of the most respected person you have ever known. You likely do not remember their specific accomplishments or the clever things they said. You remember how they made you feel. You remember their calm in a crisis, their fairness when tempted to be unfair, their quiet kindness when no one was watching. That feeling, that impression, is their legacy. It is a silent monument that stands in your memory, influencing your own choices long after they are gone. This is the true win in silence. It is not about defeating an opponent in a meeting room. It is about conquering the weaker version of yourself that wants to cut corners, to gossip, to hold a grudge, to seek the easy applause. Each time you choose integrity over convenience, you are adding another stone to that monument. A legacy is not declared, it is demonstrated. It is in returning the extra change a cashier accidentally gave you. It is in speaking well of someone who is not in the room. It is in keeping a promise when it becomes inconvenient. It is in admitting you were wrong and doing so without shame. These are silent transactions with your own soul, and they compound into a fortune of trust and respect that cannot be counterfeit. Your character becomes a living lesson to everyone around you, especially when you do not realize you are teaching. Your child watches how you handle frustration. Your coworker notices how you treat the intern. Your friend sees how you speak about others. They may never comment on it, but that silent example is a seed planted in their mind. It shows them what is possible. It proves that strength does not have to be loud, that kindness is not weakness, and that true power resides in self-command. This is how you change the world, not with grand pronouncements, but with the quiet, daily discipline of being a person others can absolutely rely on to do the right thing. When your final moment comes, the monument you leave will not be made of marble or bronze. It will be built from the memories you inspired, the trust you earned, and the silent, powerful example of a life lived with virtue. That legacy speaks louder than any boast, outlasts any trophy, and wins the only victory that truly matters, the one where you can look at your reflection in silence and see a person you are proud to have become. 25 silent victories, each one a quiet revolution against the noise of the world. This journey was never about building a wall to keep life out or learning to suppress what you feel. It is about cultivation. You have been handed the tools to tend the most important garden you will ever own, the landscape of your own mind. From the discipline of your first impression to the legacy of your final act, each tactic is a way of watering integrity, pruning distraction, and letting the sunlight of your attention fall on what you truly control. The result is not a person who feels nothing, but a person who cannot be shaken. An unassailable inner strength that makes the loud, dramatic victories, the ones that require an audience and a defeated opponent, seem not only exhausting but entirely unnecessary. Why shout to prove a point when you are secure in your reasoning? Why scramble for external validation when your self-worth is anchored in virtues you live by every day? Winning in silence is the ultimate mastery. It means the battlefield shifts from the conference room, the social media thread, the heated argument to the silent space behind your eyes. And when you master that internal world, a profound change occurs in how you move through the external one. You navigate chaos with a calm that others mistake for luck. You meet aggression with a composure that disarms it. You face loss with a resilience that reveals deeper layers of strength. Your power is no longer something you perform, it is something you inhabit. It flows from a source so deep and so quiet that the world's storms cannot reach it. This is the transformation on offer, not a new set of rules, but a new way of being. The path forward is simple, and it begins right now in your next quiet moment. Do not try to hold all 25 tactics at once. Choose one, just one. Perhaps it is the pause before reacting. Maybe it is the evening review. It could be practicing gratitude in a moment of frustration. Pick your first silent victory and practice it this week with gentle focus. We would love to hear which tactic resonated most with you. Share your choice in the comments below and let us know what you discover. If this guide to living with ancient wisdom in a modern world has been valuable, consider subscribing. There are more paths to explore, more quiet strengths to uncover. Your journey toward an unshakable life continues, one silent, powerful choice at a time.